Jones, Hume.
Corey's got an interloper.
Oh, I want him.
Bob Watson and Russell Wheater. There's Russell Wheater.
How many did they get on the screen?
So shall we sing songs?
Up
here.
Yeah.
So the only ones we haven't got so far, Jonathan and Jennifer, Marshall. Jonathan's always late, so maybe we'll just give him 2 minutes because he's on international time, unlike the rest of us. Oh, you're sparkling, Russell.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Very good.
That's it.
I think a good boy.
As they say, Russell will make a sparkling president.
Oh, good.
Oh, Bob. You can smile as well, Bob, if you like. I know it's frightening. No.
George has left to Portugal.
Difference.
Can't be there, would be in a picture.
We tried to do it. No one tried to do it.
George, can you and Lynn get closer together?
Ah, Mr. Watson's arrived.
I'm mute.
You're mute, we can hear you.
That's the first time. That's the first time for a year.
Let's see if we can.
A lot of elves are, Bob.
Is it muted? Can you hear us?
Hi, how are you getting on?
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you, George. Yes, loud and clear.
Two halves of you. Two halves. Get together.
Get a chance, just give it a look. We're just kicking off now. So
That's better. That's it.
Well, hey.
okay, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye. So Jonathan's still in the car, one of the 4 week people that have to work. Jen was joining us, so we'll just give her a couple of minutes because she was probably not wanting to join and meet all her travel all on her own tonight. So, oh, that's some jumper. Yes, yeah. Mr. Lee, that is a jumper and a half. In fact, it's a pair of jumpers.
Yeah.
Matching
jumpers.
His and hers.
That's it.
That's just showing off.
You'll never swing a golf club in these jumpers.
I'll never swing a golf club, so that's all right.
It's not gonna, you'll have to
Such a stand up.
Oh, it's sparkling, sparkling.
Oh, George has got a sparkling one as well.
Okay. Well, tonight we've got 6 gins to try. We've got 3 traditional gins, 2 interesting gins, and 1 ginger ale gin. What you'll need, which I think you've all got already, is you'll need your glass or your glasses that you're going to drink your gin out of, ice, some bits and pieces that you want to pop into it, and we'll maybe just take a break about halfway through just for a sort of a bit of relief for 5 minutes. It'll be pretty relaxed. There's only 50 questions at the end to be answered, and the sheets are on Google Sheets, just like the last quiz we did. So there's no pressure, no pressure. So there is a little bit of pressure to listen closely to the next couple of things I say. Each little bottle has got a colour on it. So I'll tell you the colour, because in the background we'll have a PowerPoint that will just drive us through it, and we'll run it the same way as we ran the whiskey tasting. We'll see what we're going to drink. We'll see what the bottle is. Then we'll maybe try the gin neat. All the good gin tasters tell me you do that. I wouldn't waste too much of it neat. because it never tastes quite as good as it does
With the tonic.
with the tonic. 5 of them are recommended with tonic. If you think that they would go better with something else, hey, help yourselves. And that's the first 5 we're going to do. So it's quite simple, but it gets very difficult for the last one because we're going to try and put ginger ale into that one. And that's the little brown tin.
The one that says ginger ale on it.
The one that says ginger ale on it. That's good.
Wow.
So we'll have a wee taste of it neat, and we'll see what we think about that. We'll see what the scientists or the manufacturers think about. I'll put a short. All the video clips are about 2 or 3 minutes long at the max. Some of them are even shorter. And we're going to travel from Scotland down to Wales, across to Englandshire, and then back up to Scotland. The majority of the gins are Scottish. We're looking for aromas on the nose, the taste to the tongue immediately, and the taste left in the mouth after, as Mrs. Jones, right. And the main thing is to just have fun. There's nothing too serious. If there are any of you art gin experts out there, feel free to take over. I have no problem.
Really good at drinking it.
So, and as we've finished each one of them, I've studied to find out what botanicals are in each of these gins, and it'll see how good we are at rooting them out as to what we got. And then finally, because I'll forget at the end, because I'll have had a drink, if in the next 2 or 3 weeks you could swill the bottles out and drop them on my step, then they'll be there for the next tasting we do. We get started. I'll share the screen in a moment. There we go. And I'm going to put the sound on, and we're going to go on that. So hopefully you can all see that.
Yes.
Good. You can adjust the little pictures of the people on your screens to suit yourselves. I don't exactly know how you do it, but you can fiddle with that.
You can cancel.
And
Cancel.
that's our little army we're going to taste tonight. And the first one is a green bottle. So your neat tasting, you might want gin in the glass, or ice in the glass, or you might not. I'm going to try the first one without.
Yes.
And the first one is brought to the table by Ivor Butchert, and it's a Hendrick's gin. And the recommendation is a slice of cucumber when you add your tonic to it.
Oh, yuck.
Any good aromas coming out?
Juniper.
Juniper. That's a good. That must have been Bob Watson. He's read the book on gin.
Cucumber.
It smells nice.
It does smell.
While we taste that. Oh, we missed the roses.
Welcome to Girvan, a wondrous and magical place with gorgeous beaches, a remarkable fishing industry, sheep, some of the finest pubs in Scotland. Taxi!
Welcome to the Hendrick's Distillery, where this gentleman and an apprentice, and the occasional support of this strapping young lad, make every drop of Hendrick's served around the world, under the direct supervision of our master distiller, Leslie Gracie. This is an exceedingly rare Carterhead still, and this is a 155-year-old Bennett still. A glorious symphony of 11 botanicals is instilled in each of these anachronistic devices. The Carterhead steams its botanicals, resulting in a lighter, more delicate spirit. The Bennett steeps its botanicals, yielding a rich and complex spirit. The distillates from these two utterly dissimilar types of still are then married, yielding a gin that is simultaneously light, fresh, fervent, and intricate. But it is not yet Hendrick's. It must then be consummated with a curious and marvelous coup de grace of Bulgarian rose and Cucumis sativus. That is, cucumber.
This is an elaborate and spectacularly inefficient method, and it results in an oddly exquisite gin. Thank you for visiting, and rest assured, our unusual gin shall continue to be made by hand, in minuscule stills, in this pocket-sized town, and we hope continue to be loved by a tiny handful of individuals around the world.
Oh, can do.
Well, did anybody get the rose to start with?
No.
No.
No. Sneaky.
Bulgarian.
Got the orange though.
The orange, ah,
Yeah.
And the coriander seeds, definitely.
Okay, we've got lemon.
We're not.
Just read the book.
No.
I just thought it tasted like gin.
Oh, it just tastes like gin.
And tonic water.
Yeah.
Thank you, Studio Fish.
In the first time I had it, and they put cucumber in it, I was quite surprised, like to the extent that I said, "Why did you put that in it?" And then when I tasted it, I thought that's quite clever. And it's only recently that I found out they put it in it to start with.
Talking of clever, Rod, have you got some magical software that makes your clothes all disappear, leaving only your head?
I have a question, Gin Meister.
Yes, sir.
I thought the man who was speaking used the word consummated. What does that mean?
Well, it depends what context you're asking the question in, David. You know that I'm not a good man of words, but I could probably give you the Welsh description. You have done a very professional job for the whiskey tasting night, and he timed all of the discussion such that we didn't end up legless before 9 o'clock. and we finished on the dot of 10 o'clock, which I thought was very professional indeed.
That's like a party pooper.
Okay.
See me later.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're supposed to be red now.
Welsh.
Is that right?
That's red. Well, that's red. That's orange. I'm colourblind.
I think the whoever made this the background has got it wrong. That orange isn't really orange; it's more of a red.
Could be red.
And yeah, it's definitely a red.
Darker whiskey.
It's the dark whiskey.
Darker gin, sorry. Darker gin. Red one.
whiskey.
The orange is more clear.
Are they?
So we put it in our thing.
The darkly coloured one.
Right.
That was just to add to the excitement of the night.
That smells funny.
Smells like iron brew.
Does looks like
Does it taste like
Oh,
Flavor to it.
Going to move on to that one then?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Oh,
Sweetie.
It is iron brew. Yes.
it's like a cross between cough medicine and iron brew. That's weird.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Weird.
Well, we've gone down to Wales for this one. At the heart of it's a very nice gin.
That's quite pretty.
Really perfume.
This is where there's iron brew in it.
Like chocolate.
Like chocolate, that's a good one. Chocolate's
Iron
okay.
brew.
I know.
And what colour is it? It's
Orange.
orange. There's orange in it as well. Chocolate orange.
Is there a bit of chewy in there?
It's iron brew.
It does taste very
It's
iron
iron
brew.
brew.
Do you think the Welsh have maybe stolen the recipe for iron brew?
No, it's Terry's chocolate orange.
It's chocolate orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to drink without it.
You can actually drink this without tonic,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that.
Too sharp.
just over ice.
No, I like it.
I would agree, Hugh.
So,
Better with chronic.
fancy bottle, but the Welsh are good at fancy bottles.
Breaking beacons.
Chocolate.
Tastes nicer with the tonic in it.
Yeah.
This isn't the same distillery, is it?
It is, and we're
Yeah.
going to have a very short visit to the distillery.
Yeah.
This is Penderyn Distillery, maker of award-winning whiskies that travel the world. There are some unique things about Penderyn. It uses unique stills, which produces a flavoursome spirit at an industry high of 92% ABV. It's very creative with its wood management. It has an all-women distilling team. And finally, it's in Wales.
I find it fascinating that it's an all-women distilling team. So there would be someone to blame if it wasn't as nice as you think. But
It is quite girly, actually.
I think
Different.
I could manage one of them on an evening.
What's the name of it again, Rod?
It's called Brecon Chocolate Orange.
Brecon.
Brecon. Brecon as in the Brecon.
As in the beacons.
Made by the Penderyn distillery people in Aberdare in South Wales.
I'm not convinced. It's a bit like fruit tea. It smells better than it tastes.
Is there only one distillery in Wales then?
No, there's others, but this is the best. Hey, the whiskey wasn't about it.
There's no hope for the
spirit
men.
goes into the whiskey.
So, Gin Meister, I actually put apple in mine. But it's very, very,
very good.
Very nice, you know.
I didn't.
Nah, not apple.
Who was that put apple into it?
Chocolate. It's chocolate orange.
David. Well done. I hadn't realised the first gin was as strong as that, Davy.
Oh, he's just trying to get his 5 a day in.
He's had 2 already.
Yeah.
I found it very, very good though.
I'm just glad Louise is here drinking all this stuff. It's very difficult. I can't read my writing already.
Oh dear.
You have double
I thought you just made it up anyway.
I do. It'll be different tomorrow.
I must admit, all the time I spend walking over the Brecon Beacons, and I never found a distillery.
Because it's not there.
Because it's not there.
Well,
That's what went into it, guys. The
So what is Welsh spirit then? What's the difference between Welsh spirit and Scotch spirit?
well, the Welsh spirit is quite nice. It's got water.
So you're going to see that anyway, isn't it?
You're just waffling now. Give us some proper information.
Those that were on the whiskey tasting, I would say that the Welsh Spirit was the first one that we tasted, and it got a bad sort of report to start with. But as the evening progressed, it got more and more appreciated. And in fact, by the end of the night, I could have got them to say anything I liked.
That was the effect of the mighty Lefroy at the end, Rod.
Yes, indeed.
And beat us all into submission.
Yeah.
It certainly does that, yeah.
Can't fight the Lefroy.
So I did struggle with, I can't pick up any cinnamon in it myself, but
No.
hey ho.
Cinnamon bar? All I can smell is orange and chocolate.
Yeah.
No chocolate in it.
And
Oris fruit, that's a strange thing, isn't it?
It's quite a lot.
yeah, what is Oris root?
She's walking
Like,
A lot of gins.
And shall we get Oris tunica are a classic constituent of gin.
So how are we getting the chocolate taste out of that?
Chocolate is very expensive in Wales.
Right, but Linda's question is, where does the chocolate smell come from those ingredients?
Ah, indeed. It comes from the southern slopes of the Brecon Beacons. It's picked by the Polish workers that came over in the war.
Yes.
And then X.
The vast chocolate fields of Wales.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Apropos of nothing, I understand that some Portuguese wineries are developing rosé port to attract ladies. Well, we have a sufficient collection of lovely ladies here tonight. Are they attracted to the pinky, orangey colour and flavour of the gin?
No.
No. Thank you. Thank you.
I like it.
And again, thank you.
Unanimous no.
You like pink?
How's it tasting in Bridge of Allen, Colin?
Sorry?
How was the Welsh gin in Bridge of Allen?
Well, considering it's Welsh, it's possible.
Thank you for that.
You know.
That's Bridge of Allen for you.
Never happy.
And Russell, was it any better at the other end of Ochiltree?
It's certainly different. As you said, to have a gin tasting of chocolate. Orange is probably I suspect is more used in gin than something that tastes of chocolate. As you said, there is nothing there. I mean, I had a quick look at Oris root, and that apparently tastes of raspberry.
Of what?
Raspberry.
Raspberry.
Oh, raspberry.
And it's used in
Oh.
perfumes as well, so it's quite smelly. So I'm guessing it's either the cassica bark or the licorice root, maybe.
Yeah.
I've got it here somewhere. Where is it now? It's from the roots of the Iris germanica and the Iris pallida, and it's a common name of Queen Elizabeth root. There you go.
Very good.
Ah.
Now, I must admit that is Wikipedia, so it may or may not be true.
It is true.
We believe you, Alistair.
Well,
Do
might
you think you could grow some?
I'm never sure with Wikipedia. Yeah.
Also, Wikipedia is probably more competent than the Gin Meister.
Probably.
Yellow.
The new orange.
Yellow.
You start early, Rod.
I've never finished.
Okay, it smells bad.
Yellow smells weird.
Smells like Dettol.
The Rod, which one are we doing now?
We're doing the yellow one. The yellow one.
Okay, right.
Right.
I sent Linda off for some glasses.
Meant to be.
Yeah, but it was half meant to.
No, just smell it.
So is this Curran then? We're still on
This is Karoon, yeah.
Well, if it's
Yellow one's
No.
Karoon.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Very pleasant.
How's that? That's pleasant out the bottle, I find.
It's certainly pleasant, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full of kind of citrusy.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, great.
That's nice.
I'll have 2 pints of that.
2 pints of that.
And a packet of crisps.
By itself.
Oh, dang
Is this the apple one?
This is if you put a slice of apple in this, when you mix it, it might be nice. So we'll see, try and see what the leave the
Hey, you know, I think I'm making this up, but I can taste it.
Get it from Dandelion Wine.
This building was originally
You
built
might need to turn your sound up. I couldn't get much volume out of this.
Until 2008, and then we stopped filling and went into a purpose-built building. So here we have the Copperberry Chamber. This is unique to Karoon, built in the 1920s in America to make perfume. So inside we have 4 trays. This one's empty. Each of the 11 botanicals goes in all of the trays, except the top tray. The top tray we don't put heather in, because the heather flowers are that light that the vapors will carry them over. This is a tray we've used botanicals in. The smell is really nice, and if you took time to look through, you would see some of each of the 11 botanicals. Once all the trays are loaded up with the botanicals, we then close the chamber, seal the door, and start the distillation process. Karoon's 1,000 litres a batch, small batch gin. We get delivered 1,000 litres of neutral alcohol, pumped into vat 2 here behind me. When we start distillation, vat 2 is drained into a pump, travels into the vaporizer. The vaporizer works in a similar concept to a shell and tube condenser. However, instead of cold water, we're using steam. So the steam turns the alcohol into vapors, which then pass out the top of the vaporizer, travel down, and then to the bottom of the chamber. Vapors passing slowly up through the 4 trays, exiting the top of the chamber, coming out into a traditional shell and tube condenser, where it condenses into Karoon gin. Once we've done the first run-ins, once the liquid starts coming through from the condenser, we go into vat 1. This normally for about 20-25 minutes. Vat 1 is purely to hold the spirit because it's not picked up the flavours from all the 11 botanicals. As some are dehydrated, we need to rehydrate them in the process so they impart the flavours. Once I'm happy with the flavour of the product here, I will then switch into vat 3.
You've got your sorry.
Product tank. Once vat 2 is empty, then vat 1 so the whole 1,000 processed and collected in gin tank number 3.
Yes, I like that one.
Do we know where in Scotland this distillery is?
Speyside Distillery.
Oh, Speyside, okay. Bob Duncan territory.
That bloke had a different logo on his jacket there. Is it done in a distillery, a whiskey distillery? And then was
Yeah.
that a
Yeah, it's a whiskey distillery that became a gin distillery. It's actually owned by the Thai Beverage Company, and it has been since 2009. Just looking at the notes from it, as you say, it's Balmenach Distillery, which was originally part of the Glenlivet Group, and it was mothballed in 1968 and reopened again by United Distillers, and then began producing Caroon gin in 2009. But it's very much there is actually a Balmelach whiskey, which apparently they haven't bottled yet. It's 29 years old and it's getting ready for bottling, but not quite there yet. I don't know what price it is, but I suspect it'll be quite pricey. Yeah, good Scottish gin. Dennis Malcolm apparently is the distillery manager. I'm not sure if that's him in the video, but I suspect it probably is.
It was, yeah.
And the green one.
Just for information, they do recommend that the apple winter toddy made from this is rather good. It involves cloudy apple juice, port, Caroon gin, castor sugar, some Angostura bitters, and some lemon juice. We haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure we will.
knockout?
Look at your face.
Stuart, can I make a request to send round that recipe, please?
I think I can do, but you'll find it under there's a chap called Jimmy Google that's pretty good, and it's there. I'll certainly send it around to you. In fact, if you're very good, I might even make it for you and deliver it to your door.
Jimmy Google, I think it's on the leg there. Anyway, the recipe will be very welcome. Thank you.
Just as far as tasting notes, notes of heather and citrus blossom. Juniper takes shape as it develops, and the palate you should be tasting orange oil, rosemary, and a subtle sweetness of heather honey.
Get the oiling.
And perhaps just a bit of history in it. The name Caroon's Celtic for round berry, which is one of the botanicals used of the 9 that are made. It's made or it's infused through as the steaming process explained. And as I said earlier, the distillery dates back to 1820. Well, I didn't say earlier, but it does date back to 1824, making this one of the oldest distilleries in Speyside. I have to say to the group that you didn't all get a full bottle because I didn't fill them up properly. So you've been shortchanged by 5 mils each, which explains why I've still got 3/4 of that. No, I've only got a small amount left in the bottle. Those that want to come round may get a wee drip extra.
That's all right, Stuart. I'll knock the door when I walk the dog tonight then.
Put it on the lead, for God's sake, Alistair.
I very much like it. Good.
Good.
Yes, I like.
A very good drinking gin.
Yes.
Very much so.
Very nice.
Yeah, very pleasant.
Apple and apple winter toddy. Apple seems to be the sort of recurring theme in this.
Yeah, well, see, they're a bit cleaner than the Welsh who insist on putting chocolate orange in theirs.
Hugh, have you got anything?
I think it tastes like gin.
This speaks a whiskey drinker, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Celery.
Straws. Is anybody drinking using a straw tonight?
No.
No.
Only you.
Only us. Only us. Okay, that's fine.
I hope it's a recyclable one.
Yeah,
It
is
is
it paper? Or
metal,
glass?
metal.
Very, very smart.
I just wondered if that affects the flavour. I don't know if anybody had any comments. Whether he's sip. It was when Bob used the comment. He's going to sip it over ice. I just wondered if sipping is any different from drawing it through a straw.
No, I just found it very difficult with not having a full bottle. That I ran out before I could put a straw in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay.
I do find though, if I use a straw, I don't spill it quite so much.
These cups with a lid are quite good too.
Yeah. People don't see what you have in the cup.
We're clearly in the right company, because I've just read here in some notes that Karoon offers the drink for a connoisseur the opportunity to embrace a wildly sophisticated gin of unrivaled quality. So we can slot ourselves into one of these adjectives.
Well, there's certainly no doubt about that.
So, what's?
I have no idea.
Oh, we'll go for blue. Now, take your time. Just this is a little bit of excitement to be had here. This is a colour changing gin. So it's a pink marmalade from Englandshire. And as you add your tonic, it goes hopefully from blue to pink.
Right.
We'll maybe have a wee taste of it out of the bottle.
Does it stop your radiator freezing up?
I think it does. It's the right colour.
Rod, this is one of the ones my granddaughter worked on in the laboratory of food dyes. She was talking about putting it into gin to change the colour from blue to pink.
Oh, so it does.
And the laboratories in Derby.
First came across this in South Africa, but we had to have a few to just check that it kept happening.
And this is the one that likes its rosemary in it as you add your tonic.
Goody, goody.
It is definitely pink.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gone pink.
It's magic.
But it's very refreshing.
Stuart will not have many tasting notes for this one. This gin has just been driven by the market of colour-changing gins in Englandshire. Apparently, it's one of the leading ones, but the distillery that makes it is owned by 4 marketing executives that worked on the theme of a colour-changing gin. Oh, now we'll need a wee distillery to make it in. And I don't know. It's I can smell the rosemary in mine now.
I can.
In fact, the rosemary has killed it dead.
Got half a tree in it, Rod.
Hey,
it smells as though it's doing good.
Hey, when I can grow something, George, I look after it.
Not as nice as the last one.
That's the other one.
The last one.
That's true.
I like them nicer.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the Cahoon one.
Yeah.
I think that's
This would. Do you remember the night we went up to Strathern Distillery?
Yeah.
The gins, and Tony gave us the Heather Rose.
Yeah.
Well, it was my intention to get Heather Rose for tonight, but they've stopped making gin now because he's selling whiskey, and there's too much competition, I think, for gin now.
Right.
But I was gutted. So you could only get, well, I could have got a bottle of Heather Rose, but I didn't really know how old it was. And we've had quite a few in the house, and Mrs. Jones likes them as well. And you know that
I like gin.
they do it as like a 500 bottle. And I recall coming back from Tony's place, and I bought 2 on the night, and I opened one as soon as I got through the door. And before I went to work the next day, that bottle was empty because I was just fascinated. The colour changing, I think, in the Heather Rose was far more marked than this. But what you should tell your, is it your daughter, did you say, Bob, or your
granddaughter?
Granddaughter. I found with the Heather Rose, if you actually didn't finish a bottle and put it back in the cupboard, it went brown within a month. It oxidized.
Right.
And okay, the flavor was still okay. Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't as good. It was something. So my expression for probably about the last 10 years is you should really open a bottle of gin like you would, like a bottle of port, and just get it finished. I like these little bottles. I would like them to be slightly larger.
Oh, would you?
That's it.
That's because you're sharing one with me.
Yeah.
So if you had one all to yourself, you'd be all right.
I'm not so sure about that. I've got all to myself.
Caring is caring.
Yeah,
Can I ask the chemist? I'm starting to lean.
Can I ask the chemist that if it changes from blue to pink, does that mean that the tonic water is acidic?
Oh yes, oh yeah.
Any
I was thinking of phenolphthalein, you know.
It all depends whether it's phenolphthalein or litmus stuff.
It'll be the quinine, I would imagine.
It'll be the quinine.
I think the magic ingredient is some sort of plant that's related to the pea family, I think. Some magic plant that's related to the pea family. And that's what changes the colour.
No, still.
Very nice.
Yeah, that one's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.
No, there's all
Oh,
it,
great.
it's got all its botanicals.
Look, I feel lime. Look.
Oh, almond.
Orris root again.
Pops up a lot.
But Ivor, there's no phenolphthalein in there at all.
They're not, no. I didn't see that, no.
I tell you what, you'll be very glad because it's the best laxative known to man.
Isn't it just?
Now that's different. They've got almond nuts in it.
Yeah.
The others didn't have, but the others did have the other things in it.
Coffee lime, that's a new one.
It's got grapefruit rather than lemon.
Yeah.
What's Lynn drinking there? It's red. She's on a different taste to us. she didn't like. Oh, it's stuff inside it. Oh, fancy.
Raspberries are tasting it. Yeah.
See, when you've got a proper garden in your backyard, you can do all this stuff.
I don't know about raspberries.
Raspberries.
So I would say another drinkable gin.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Quite pleasant.
I think it's kind of bland. I'm not getting any sauce.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It kind of tastes like a sort of a pub gin and tonic that doesn't kind of taste so much. You know.
That's a bit mean.
Yeah. Well,
It doesn't taste
I
that.
think after the Hendrix and the other nice one,
Yeah.
it kind of. I mean, I'm sure is fine, but it's kind of, yeah.
This is Scottish one.
There's a
this
Scottish
is
team coming
English,
there,
this.
Alistair.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, is it English?
Yeah.
That's English, yeah.
In that case, it's perfectly adequate.
I'm doing an Advent gin a night. I thought that seemed like an appropriate thing to do. And we bought for that the Rotary gin, the Passionately Purple.
Passionately Purple from Salford Rotary Club.
Ah.
And it does the same thing.
It changes colour.
It has a wee bit more of an oomph, but it's not as good as we were just looking up. The South African one was called Six Dogs, and it was even more dramatic in its colour change. But the Rotary one's quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's Rotary, and it's to do with polio, isn't it? They're selling it for.
Yeah,
for polio.
purple, you know, so the gin is purple to fit in with the crocus colours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Did you say you're doing a gin a night, Linda?
Just one, not
Just one bottle.
Just one bottle.
Building a piston.
That's all.
One glass or one bottle?
Yeah, well, Steve has an advent calendar with beers in it, and so I thought I'd better get in the act.
My goodness.
So I have a different gin a night, although I've only got 7.
No.
I mean, I have them on a rotation.
6. So four goes at 6 gins makes 24. Ideal.
I see how you became the treasurer, Steve. You're the only one who can count.
Is there 24 gins in your cabinet, Laurie?
Well, I suspect there's more than that.
I think there's one a night.
Here in the kitchen cupboard, there's more than 24 in the house anyway, that's for sure.
Very good.
There's some whiskies as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I was telling Rod, my son lives in Switzerland and he got an advent calendar with 25 little pockets and 25 little bottles of different Swiss gins.
Perfect.
Oh,
that'd be nice.
That's a good idea.
He hasn't reached the 25 yet, but he's only found one out of the last 18 that's fit to drink as far as he's concerned.
Oh, well. So, Alan, anything to say about the English gin?
Simply splendid.
I thought it was quite nice, actually.
You've got the right script, Alan. I like you.
Out of the
Jolly
5, it's
spiffing.
number 2.
You not say jolly spiffing.
Well, Laura likes having a gin with a slice of grapefruit in it, pink grapefruit in it. So I think that would go very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Orange is next. So.
And having next. Oh, the botanist.
Botanist.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is
The one we pulled earlier.
Very nice.
sponsored by Mr. Jones.
Is this the one we poured earlier?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hashtag gone already, Bo.
I'm quite happy just to quite drink whatever put in front of me.
They're all starting to smell the same.
It's very.
Oh no, I think this
Is it not very similar to your cow run thing?
Oh, that one's very antiseptic, surely.
What this one?
Antiseptic.
You just know where it comes from, Bob.
The last
I was
one
thinking it was smelling like chocolate orange, actually.
They all smell like chocolate orange now.
No, that's
Oh,
It's,
I wouldn't sip that one over ice.
it's got a lot. You'd need your ice, Bob, I think.
Oh, I wouldn't even sip it over ice. It's
I'm gonna.
It's a bit harsh, this one.
oh, very volatile.
Yeah.
the recommended garnish in this one.
In the botanist is just a minute, and I'll try and. a sprig of rosemary. Now, my advice here is a very small.
Oh, I just love rosemary, so no, I'll have lots.
I think now that we're so experienced, you choose what you would like to add to it. Because I'm reluctant.
In other words, it doesn't really matter at this stage. Just go for anything. Just drink it.
Absolutely. Just get it down you.
Yeah.
Not nice.
I don't think I had this bother with the whiskey tasting. The audience were polite, well mannered.
There were less women involved.
They asked me sensible questions.
Tonic in it. It's just it tastes.
It's a lot better with the tonic.
Yes, the tonic makes all the difference.
But Hugh, don't call whiskey mother's ruin like they do gin. That's why you get a rabble.
Oh, I think I spent a lot of money on this.
We were on this.
Did it wrong.
Is that be right? No, it is better with the tonic, but.
I was lucky enough to grow up in a little village, Angus, east coast of Scotland. Freedom to go roving around in the woods, falling in the rivers fairly regularly, and fascinated with wildlife, with nature, and with plant life in particular. So I studied botany at Edinburgh University, and latterly spent a lot of years working in tourism, showing people all around the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, and that ultimately led me to living on Islay. And when the job came up, forager for the Botanist Gin, I went with it with both hands, so living the dream. I'm James, so I'm the one responsible for gathering, preparing and ensuring the sustainable supply of the 22 wild Islay botanicals that go to make the Botanist Gin. In a nutshell, there are the 22 wild Islay botanicals that are, vital to the flavour of the Botanist Gin. I will be out picking generally from late March, whenever the gorse comes into full bloom. And then from there through until late September, early October, I've got a steady procession of different plants coming in and out of season for the very best condition, very best aroma, very best flavour. And I will be roving the hills, the woods, the coast, the moors of the island, seeking these plants out, gathering them and bringing them to make the gin. Some of them can be picked over quite a wide season, so things like apple mint, spearmint, really from when they come up in spring until they begin to die off at the end of the summer. If and when I come across them, then I'll bring some in. Others, for instance, hawthorn, it's quite a narrow window. These will be in flower, these will be at their best, so I have to be very focused, make sure I get them at that time. One of the challenges that I have is the climate. Islay and the west of Scotland in general, stunning as it is often not the driest place in the world. And it really is very important, not only that I'm bringing the botanicals in when they're at their very best as far as the condition they're in, the time of year, to maximise the flavour, the aroma, but equally to bring them in dry. I would be concerned to bring anything in a bit damp. Things like the mints, the birch, that then ran the chance of spoiling before it had a chance to dry. We'd be losing the quality, the flavour, and also sacrificing a lot of time put into picking it. From the very beginning, sustainability was at the heart of the recipe. It was at the heart of plans for the botanist. So my predecessors, Richard and Mavis Gulliver, they were adamant nothing was going to be used that was rare, that was unique, that was particularly localised or threatened on the island. But obviously you're trying to take a little from a lot of places for most of these things. You don't want to have one area you're returning to and hammering every year. You're always keeping an eye from year to year on how different areas are doing. It's quite a nice experience when I will be taking one of the bags out that I have produced. This is really the result of a year, a season's worth of work. And then there will be a handover to Adam, the head distiller. I don't know, you're a bit like a proud father in some way. He in turn will then go and carry out the actual distillation and produce the spirit itself.
I just wonder what botanical he's getting from El Salvador.
Yes, exactly. I noticed that too.
Blimey, what a recipe!
Yeah. The wee stars are the ones that they don't grow on Islay.
Funny that.
So that-
Cinnamon.
the Angelica root. I'm looking forward to Steve sort of culturing some of those next year in the allotment, and we'll get some of them. I can do the orange peel.
My experience on Islay is that nothing grows. I'm surprised. I just thought it was a windswept beach.
Yeah.
One Easter.
Well,
I've never got past Lagavulin, Beaumont, Bunnahabhain,
the Brew Atlantic guys experiment with everything, don't they?
Yeah.
Their whiskies are immense. The experimental whiskies are incredible. So no surprise they're trying all these different things. Although, is it an overkill? What do you think?
The birch leaves will make it really.
I would say there's too much in there. It's out of the bottle. It's just too complicated and too mixed up. But put a little bit of tonic in it, and it makes a very, very pleasant drinking gin. But I don't believe it. I haven't noticed any coriander or cinnamon in there myself.
No, I really like it.
Everything's so diluted with all the different botanicals. You can probably hardly taste one day anything really.
Juniper is the overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just tasting the alcohol rather than the actual.
If the milk brought out, would you notice?
You know, I don't know, you guys, when you go past gorse flowers, they really smell of coconut very strongly.
Oh.
But I can't smell any coconut in there.
No.
No, I
But
can't.
anyone been at a gin distillery, what do you think they do with all the spent botanicals after they've everything through it?
To send them up to the allotments.
And just as compost.
Fertilizer.
Must do.
Yeah.
Could they not dry it and make potpourri out of it?
It should.
Don't laugh, George.
This gin does remind me of the bottle that I bought for Joyce's Christmas to dab behind her ears. And spent a lot of money on.
50 pence, Bob.
Are the juniper prostrate berries, are they the ones that he picked when he was drunk?
I think it's an odd sensation because the raw spirit has got a wonderful nose, I think, and I guess the volume of tonic that you put in it kind of loses it. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that it fails to impress when you put a mixer in it.
Yeah, it does change it.
Exactly. So it's there's something to me there's something wrong in the balance of it.
Too complex.
It's too much in it.
But it smells great.
It's an easy drink, isn't it?
It's nice. And I'm not really into gin, but it's nice.
You could have a few on an evening and enjoy.
Yes.
What I'm surprised about, Stuart, is if you said so many bad things about it, but you kept so much of it back.
No, not this one.
No, we're okay.
It's a Korean you kept back.
Sorry, no, that was the yellow one. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. I quite like it. I'm disappointed with it because when I first opened it, I thought I was going to really enjoy it. And I have. I think Rod's right. I think it's a very nice, relaxing drink, but it doesn't deliver the punch that you would expect from when you pour the raw spirit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would have another one if it was offered.
So might be. My comment about this is it's a complicated gin. And I think on the back of what Stuart said, it's quite pleasant. However, I think it would take you a while to get the balance of what you wanted to put in it, whether it was small bit of tonic, big bit of tonic, whether it was a bit blind or lemon or what. So I would say it was an experimental gin.
It's pleasant.
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, I think it, with a mixer, it tastes very pleasant. I mean, it's fine. And to be honest, I don't tend to drink gin neat anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would probably, I'd agree.
Yes, I'd agree.
You know, if you drink your regular gin out of the bottle, it tasted very similar to that.
It's not. It's not.
Yes.
It's like a go.
Yeah, but
anything other than really the alcohol. It's supposed to have birch leaves in it, but which birch makes things very astringent. But it's not really got that in it either. It's just I don't know. I quite like it. I don't really enjoy gin, but this is quite nice. Just it's different, but you get in Iceland you get a drink that they make from it's distilled from birch twigs and bark and leaves, and it's very definitely an acquired taste, but I really enjoyed it. But this doesn't really, I don't know, it's a sort of, I don't know, it's maybe the only thing that's standing out from all the 22 different, no, but it's got 22 different things in it, so everybody's going to pick from it what they feel they can taste. Whereas, you know, something that's maybe only got 5 or 6 things in it, you're just going to get the flavour of the one thing that stands out the most.
Yeah.
I
taste of anything in particular.
And I found it amusing that Ivor picked the prostate problem to start with. Oh, sorry, prostrate.
I've just had another one, and I put much less tonic in it. It's almost like half and half, and it's actually very nice that way.
Yeah.
Stronger. So maybe the mixers are just destroying all the good work that poor
Yeah, I've
chap
been
did.
half and half too, Stuart, and it's very pleasant.
Did you put anything else in it, Stuart, like apple or orange?
No, not at all. No, we're a fruit-free zone here.
Just fruity.
Collectively, they're all working rather well, because on my notepad said I've had all 6. And
Very good.
I think that's called a senior moment, Bob.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, the thing is, they all taste better than the 27 gallons of Sterling gin that I'm using as hand sanitizer out.
Most things taste better than that.
Gallons as well.
But really, it doesn't really matter what the colour is. It's the one that you've got left. It should be sort of brownish.
Brownish
What would
plum.
be brown?
Maca.
yellow.
All the way from Glasgow.
I think something.
Well, it must be good then. No, nice.
Oh, it's very perfumed.
Maca, oh, right. Oak aged. Wow, whiskey.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Smell that. That's
Smells
really
very different.
doesn't really smell like a gin.
No, it doesn't.
Hey.
Oh.
Oh, it's got quite a different taste. Yeah.
Would I be right in guessing that this is aged in oak barrels, perhaps?
Absolutely.
Says
It's on the label. Stop, Peter.
He can still read it.
Clear English.
You spell it Latin? No?
Don't know about
That aniseed.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Like
This is the ginger ale one.
this is, as Linda says, this is the ginger ale one. I don't think tonic would kill it, but hey ho. Now, I'm going to apologise about the short video. If you can listen to the words and not the chap's accent and attitude, you've got to bear it. The video was 45 minutes long, and I've cut it down to a few minutes, about 5 minutes. I couldn't get it any less, because he's one of those guys that you get in the world that cannot actually just say yes. He has to say that there is a good reason for saying yes, and he'll explain that for 4 or 5 days. But I've tried to cut it to something that's quite interesting. So I think it's a very interesting story that he tells, and we'll play that now and enjoy adding your ginger ale in the background.
For Glasgow Distillery was established probably in 2011 when Mike and I were at a gin event in London. I had long harboured the thoughts of building a whiskey distillery, and we combined the two because Mike's passion is very much about gin. So we were at an event with Sacred in London, and we decided that we were going to combine our two passions, and we were going to do it. So we formed a company in 2012. I put together a business plan, raised the money, and a Macca was launched in November 2014. I'm going to describe Macca in 3 words, but 3 words will be 1 word. And I'll explain why. Right from the beginning, in terms of when we conceived the Mike in particular, we had a belief that that gin should have one ingredient at the heart of it, and that the other botanicals should then complement that. And if you look at the definition of gin, the word will be pretty obvious. So I would describe Macca gin in 3 words as juniper, juniper, and juniper. In terms of the development of Macca, as I said in the last question, juniper was very, very much at the heart of how we wanted the gin to be. And Mike in particular spent a lot of time playing around and looking at the botanicals that he felt would best complement the juniper. Always aiming that Macca would be at the premium end of the marketplace, both from the design of the liquid and the design of the bottle. That was our aspiration from the beginning. So with juniper at the heart, the botanicals very, very much are all based around complementing the juniper and allowing the different flavours to come through. So over the 12-month period that it took us to actually do that, we went through a whole raft of different botanicals. Some inevitably stayed and some left. One in particular that was right in with in the recipe right until we actually had Annie running, because we developed the original gin on a much smaller scale and a much smaller still, actually with the London Distillery Company and Darren Rook and his team at the time. But then when we took it through and we ran it through Annie, orange didn't work. So what had worked in concept and worked in the lab, when we then upsized it to the final recipe, it just didn't make it. So we took orange out, and then the resulting botanicals were the ones that actually worked best. And when we do the run in Annie, right from day one, it was really, everything again was about the quality. So when we ran the still the first few times, we couldn't quite get the quality in terms of the way that we wanted, so we just ran it slower and longer. And bizarrely, and we use it in some of our marketing spiel, but it is actually true, the
the optimum point in terms of time for running Macca was 7 hours. So we have 8 botanicals, junipers at the heart, and we had 8 botanicals to complement that, and eventually we ended up with 7, and it takes 7 hours to do it. And if you had the time, which the distillers do, but if you are actually going through the run, at different points of the run, you can actually taste different individual botanicals in that run. And that is why whenever we run it, we then leave it to basically marinate and to settle for approximately 2 weeks as a minimum before we would consider bottling, and sometimes a lot longer. What makes Macca unique? That's a great question. In a world of almost on a daily basis, new gins coming out. I think, and probably interesting for you guys to know, I think when we look back, when we launched Macca, which bizarrely is only 4 years ago, there were 200 gins in the UK. And I think we reckoned there were about 2,000 gins in the entire world marketplace. Today, and I've lost count, and to be honest, we've stopped counting. The last time we did a count, there was close on 3,000 gins in the UK alone. So the explosion in terms of the numbers and how credible some of them are, and I think is obviously a question of for debate in right across the country. So what really makes Macca unique? I think when we started, we were not quite at the forefront, but we weren't far behind the Hendricks and the Sipsmiths. The beliefs that we had in terms of juniper being at the heart, as I previously said, and how we wanted the gin to basically be fantastic gin and tonic first and foremost. I mean, look at the numbers. What is it? 8 out of 10 ways that gin is drunk will be in a gin and tonic. But also we wanted Macca to be something that was a bartender's friend, that it was credible and in cocktails, and we try very hard to work with bartenders right across the spectrum, and also then take their inventions and the cocktails that they make and pass those on to the consumers. So it's very much about staying true to our principles. And if you then look at the range extension, so when we created Macca Oak and Macca Mulberry, in terms of the cask gins, the easy option for us was to basically throw chips in a cask and say it was a Cascades gin, but that would have not been true to actually what we set out to do at the beginning, and it wouldn't be true to the beliefs that we have as a business, as an individuals. So we actually cost ourselves a lot of money and cost ourselves a lot of pain and heartache, and continue to do so, because we had mulberry and oak casks made, and we went through a painful process of putting Macca into those casks, which cost a lot of money, and then trying to find where the optimum level was, where the wood had actually intervened with the gin to a point. So at 5 weeks, it was too little, and we ran all the way through to 20 weeks, where basically the wood had just overpowered the gin, and that gin we couldn't use. So we came up and found that the optimum was, say, 10 or 12 weeks, and that's so. By doing that, we believed that then we brought products to the marketplace that were true to us, but also were something that the bartenders could then use and the consumers could identify with, and they knew that it was what it said on the bottle was true. And if people come to the distillery and they see the videos that we make and all the rest, it is true. We do genuinely age our gin in casks for, on average, 12 weeks.
Right, it's finished.
Hey.
Oh, God.
So,
Does he do talks and violins as well, that bloke?
yeah, oh my, yes.
I think it's just some salary.
So, what do you think? What's it like?
It'll come no surprise to you that I think this is a rather fine one.
Yes, I like this one too.
It's not gin. It tastes like gin at all.
It doesn't taste like gin at all. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But it's pleasant enough.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Who the hell cares?
Yeah, we're not worried, but it doesn't taste like gin, which is quite a pleasant surprise, because gin is actually quite foul.
But, you know, after you criticise the Welsh, I'm pleased to hear you say that, then.
Spades a spade, Lynn.
Do you know what? As a Jack Daniel's whiskey drinker, gin is quite fun, but this is quite nice.
Well done, Lynn.
Very good.
Vodka next.
Indeed.
Oh, never. I draw the line at vodka.
You wouldn't if we were in the Gobi Desert.
Well, could I ask why they recommended putting ginger ale in it? Because all I can taste is ginger ale now.
Yeah.
It's in the whiskey.
Go
So
and
they
wash
should have
your mouth
vodka
out.
that tasted like whiskey and vodka that tasted like something else.
Yeah. My personal view on that one is that I don't like whiskey and ginger ale particularly, but it's a notable drink. You know you've drunk it and you remember it and you think, I won't have that again. However, this scab, I felt it was a whiskey gin.
Yeah, it was
You
a
know,
wee bit
a whiskey
whiskey-y.
gin and ginger ale. And I would have I'm going to get a bottle for the house because I think it would be it's a nice talking point, and I could drink more than one or two of them.
Well,
I think, speaking as a Ouija, I think this is very much a Glasgow gin. And the idea is that the average Glaswegian thinks that gin is a bit twee, bordering on effeminate. And the ginger ale and the base, the botanicals, give it this bite and it makes it tough.
It's a bit smoky, isn't it? It's a bit. I quite like it. I do. Quite like it.
Well,
it's not gin.
As a person born in Edinburgh, of course, you know, if you put ginger ale in it, then it sums it up, really. Yeah.
Well, I
You
value
agree
the
with me,
ginger
Alistair?
ale. I still had half a can of tonic water left, and I was damned if I was opening ginger ale just for this. Tonic in it, and it was excellent with just a tonic.
Was it? Oh, good.
I had it with just a splash of ginger ale, and it's very nice.
I quite liked it neat.
Ah, well.
All the business of amounts of mixer. I was on a gin tasting at Eden Mill Gin Place one time, and they recommended the same amount of mixer to stir it, and not to drown it.
Yes.
I do, and then I drink the rest of the tonic later.
Yes, I
Tell
think you're
myself
right.
I'm being good.
With this one in particular, I only put the same amount in as I had of the actual.
Yeah,
gin. And it was better than
More
drowning
daunting,
it.
isn't it? It's going on.
Because when you think of all the botanicals and the effort that goes into making these special gins, that you're kind of losing them by drowning them in mixer, really. But that's probably not very helpful.
Well, for me, a bit like the botanicals, you've got to get the balance right. And I reduced the amount of ginger ale, and I think it's quite nice. But I think I will probably have to buy a bottle and some ginger ale and finish the bottle sampling the rates on mix.
I think you've got to recognise the fact that roughly half and half is the stomach's maximum absorption rate of alcohol into the bloodstream. So if you take pure alcohol, then it goes in slightly slowly. But in the mixes we're discussing, which is half and half, it will have the maximum hit. So there is a bit of a danger in going half and half with a spirit and a mixer.
So
for my part, I thought that was more of a summer drink. I could quite clearly see.
Having wine before you start.
I could quite clearly see standing in the summertime with a rather tall one of these with some ice. I'm not sure about a winter drink, but I actually didn't like it when I opened it up. But now I've had a while to look at it, I thought it was okay, which is high praise from me, really.
It's quite nice. It is nice. That particular one's nice.
So Stuart, using your calculator there on half and half and everything like that, how much gin will Bob Watson have drunk in his 48 years?
1,473.7 litres, I think.
Ah,
sorry,
you're
that's
looking
per,
very well,
sorry,
Bob.
Oh, hey,
got
no,
that
that's
wrong.
about whiskey.
That was per month.
Sorry, Stuart. Bob wouldn't understand that. You used the word litre. He only works in pints.
Alistair McPherson.
I'll do it in Jeroboam's then, if you give me a second.
Hello.
Oh no, put it back.
Focus on the people you want to see.
The half and half is a good idea if you want to taste the gin, but if you're out drinking, I must say 150 ml of soda means you can drink an awful lot more before you fall over. And
You do the half and half and then you top up with the rest of it and then you go on to the next one.
Yeah, I think you're right, Linda. I think you've got that bang on. The sort of, you get an initial hit, but then realise you've got to stop, otherwise you will fall over.
Yeah. The realization's the difficult part.
That's true. I think the difficult part is waking up.
Have you
lying on the floor?
Surely, if you're in Holland and you
emptied all of these bottles,
gin,
Bob? Are they all empty?
you would drink that neat.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
Yes, I have too. Yes, and it's not a lot of balls.
Indeed.
Very good.
I get the joke.
So do I.
Nobody else did.
No, I got it.
I got it. No.
That's a load of balls.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. The way you've got your hat.
Blue balls.
Oh, Bob, the way you have your hat. It looks as if you're this.
He is completely like this.
Carefully positioned.
No, don't say that.
What's that?
To the occasion.
I'd like to ask a question. One of our numbers we haven't heard from at all, and she's actually quite expert in this field, and that's Laura. Being in the pharmacy business, what's your take on the botanicals? No, on the spot, girl.
But I must say, I think I'm enjoying them after.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
But I wish I'd kept a little bit back of all of them so I could taste them all off each other, but they're all gone now.
I know,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yes, Colin.
Well, the Botanicals not an R&B band from the 60s.
Your age, love.
So what was your favourite then? Go on, let's start at, well,
Ask Hugh.
Hugh.
That's
Start
me.
at, you're first on our window,
Oh
if you
yes,
like.
I'm on the screen. Yeah. Well, I'm actually not here. It's actually Jen who's here.
It's Jen's evening.
Oh, it's Jen's evening. What's
uh,
your favourite, Jen?
To be honest, none of them.
What do you normally drink?
Pink gin.
Pink gin.
Gordon's.
Gordon's pink gin.
Okay.
And in fact, I've got, Hugh bought me a bottle of York gin.
From York.
From York.
In York. I was in York.
And it was very nice. And I bought myself for my Christmas, because I have to buy my own Christmas presents because he's useless. I bought number 63 gin, which was the Sir Optimus gin, which they had to raise funds for the residential club in London, number 63, and I haven't opened it yet. I'll open it at Christmas.
Oh, good.
Can you get it into little bottles, Jen? I know someone who's got some.
What
But you see,
about
I mean, I wouldn't look past vodka or Canadian whiskey. My mother used to try and tempt me into gin, and I kept saying, "Oh no, 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 no!" And then I discovered pink gin, and then that was
it.
really-
Ah, ruined. What
And
about?
it wasn't my fault.
What about Stuart? Which was your favourite?
My favourite was either the Hendrix or the Caroon. And probably I'll say the Hendrix because it seems much fairer to say that. I've had both before, and I really do enjoy the Hendrix, and I've had it many times. And I suppose just by head, I would probably just pick that over the Caroon. I think after that, the Macca, the Botanist, then the pink marmalade one, and then the Welsh rubbish.
Your wife? You what?
Much the same.
Alison?
Much the same.
Much the same. David? David Chisholm, wake up.
Always awake.
Which one did you prefer?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jones. I'm confused because I wanted to see the colour of the pink marmalade one change colour when I put tonic in. So I'm obviously had far much to drink because I tried it and it's still clear. But for me, the blue bottle, pink marmalade is exquisite. It's very good.
Good. Good.
Alistair.
All right. Well, I'm afraid I'm a bit like Stuart, really. I do like Hendrix, and I'm used to it, and I've liked it for a long time. Especially, it was actually introduced to me by some very good English friends who introduced us to this new gin when we were downstate. Well, we were living in England at the time as well, and they introduced us to this new gin that she had found. And then I happened to look at it, and I said, "Do you know it's Scottish?" At which point, some expletives came out. But having said that, I did like the Caroon, and I thought it was exceptional. I thought it was really good. So I would be tempted to buy a bottle of that to supplement the Hendrix that we have. I didn't like the Macca, but I think that might have been the ginger ale actually, and I'm going to try it afterwards with tonic to see if it is any better. Botanist was okay. I thought the pink marmalade was more about the change of colour than its flavour, and the Welsh, well, yeah.
Oh dear, Laurie and Liz?
For me, I think Caroon. I much preferred the Caroon, followed probably by the Macca. I mean, we've got a bottle of Macca here, Macca Original, though. It's not the oak aged. But I think for me, the Caroon. What about you, Liz?
I like Caroon, but I like the Botanist and Hendrix. So I'm not terribly keen on flavoured gins, so the other ones didn't really do much for me. Especially the last one, the Macca. I just don't like it. It was too much like a whiskey for me, and I hate whiskey.
Yeah.
That's what
Spirity.
it's too spirity. It's too spirity. It wasn't nice at all, really. I like a sort of mellow, a much more mellow gin. But I can't really, probably Caroon, or I don't know, maybe Hendrix or the Botanist. I like all of these three, so It's difficult. I drink, well, not say I'll drink anything, but I quite, I mean, they are.
They were all excellent. And
Yes,
it's a
yes.
splendid evening,
Yes.
Rod. Yeah. Very
Well
well.
done.
Thanks, Laurie.
What worries me, Laurie, is whether you're able to drive your sleigh now.
Oh, no.
As long as you're sober by next week.
Yeah, it's got about 6 days or something. 6 weeks or something, is it? 6 weeks.
Oh,
And-
dear.
And Colin?
Oh, my view goes to the Caroon, is the
Yeah.
Hendricks following up, and I think the Macar following that. The Macar actually reminds me a wee bit of a rum, believe it or not. Maybe
Oh.
if you add it to the ginger ale, I don't know, because I've drank rum and ginger ale, and there's a similarity there to me. But certainly the Caroon is the best one to me.
So who have we got
Stephen-
next?
Stephen
Steve
and Linda.
and Linda?
My favourite was the Caroon as well, I have to say.
Yeah, I must admit I did like that one.
I think
in the past life, I did a lot of sort of wine making, and I recognised the Rowanberry and Dandelion, and I liked that. I liked it.
I think for me, probably the botanist.
You like the botanist, yeah? Yeah.
I think so. I really, really liked it. But I was introduced by a friend because of this Advent thing to a gin that I'd never heard of that's made by Poetic License.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's called Northern Dry Gin. And it's probably the nicest gin I've had. And it's because it's got eucalyptus and I think rosemary are the sort of strong things. And I really, really like that. But no, tonight I would go Botanist, Hendricks, Caroon, and then off. I think that would be me.
Right.
Good.
Alan and Laura.
Need to speak louder.
I'll speak for me, but I think I quite enjoyed the Macca, the last one. But I'm quite a fan of whiskey, so that's not really a big surprise. And then the Hendricks right at the beginning, particularly when we took some cucumber in.
Yes.
Really brought it to life, and it was a lovely drink, really enjoyable. And you've got to stay too.
Laura? Laura?
Yeah, I like the pink gin, and I wish I'd actually kept a bit of them all and just been able to taste them all at the end. I did kind of think the Welsh gin was different.
I have always liked Laura. Laura's so nice.
You just said different, not better.
Anything Welsh is different.
Yes.
Oh, Lynn? And George? Lynn?
I like the Macar probably because it doesn't actually taste like gin.
Yeah.
I like that a lot because it doesn't taste like gin. But if I'm going to be... So that would be my first choice over anything. And then Hendricks, because I recognise the label and it's really... I know that's really boring. But as long as you don't put lumps of cucumber in it, I think I would drink that. But definitely the Macar. The rest of it... I'm not really fussed about, and there was one I couldn't drink at all because it was just foul, but that's just me. So
That wasn't the Welsh one.
Yeah, no,
I thought you liked it. You liked the Iron Brew.
Oh, George, was it the Welsh one?
The Welsh one was low, I think.
Did you like any of them, George?
Yeah, I mean, like Alan there, I'm just thinking, I mean, I like whiskey as well, and the Macar, was similar. Drunk Hendricks before, and I like Hendricks. It's a nice gin. It's a
without
smooth-
the cucumber, because cucumber is revolting.
Yeah.
I agree. That's the thing that I don't like about the Hendricks myself.
Macar and Hendricks, two different gins, but it's a contrasting gin. It's I would say Macar.
And then Russell?
Well, I'm not really a great gin drinker. I'm not that keen on gin. As a gin, I think the Hendrix was probably the best. The Macca, as everybody said, was different. And I think from what the guy had sitting behind him, I suspect they do a lot of different aged wood gins to give different flavours, a bit like, that's probably an influence from the guy that makes the whiskey. The Welsh one, was that the one that tasted chocolate and all?
That was, yeah.
I think that was more flavoured like a liqueur rather than a
Yeah,
gin.
I think you could be right there.
And if people accepted it maybe as a liqueur, then maybe they'd have a different opinion of it.
Yeah, and I think there's the came across that people would drink that without any mixers or any.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe an after dinner liqueur.
Maybe a chocolate lemonade.
What I would ask though, Russell, is have you switched your lights off, or
Yes,
has the battery gone flat?
No, they were distracting by flashing on the screen.
Well, you should have them back on for the end.
Yeah. Yes, I win the prize for the sweater.
You're the best flasher.
Yes.
Oh, stop.
You don't actually see me.
Ah.
Oh.
Goodness.
Too much.
Very impressive.
Bob? Bob?
Well, I did take one or two notes.
He won't be able to read them now.
I am a gin virgin.
Oh.
Tipple. But my experience tonight suggests Caroon. I enjoyed the Caroon, and very narrowly in second place was the Macca. I won't say what was at the bottom.
Oh, never mind. And Ruth and Bob, either.
My favourite tonight was the Caroon, closely followed by the Botanist.
See the dog, Ivor. Bring the dog up.
Which one did the dog like?
Oh, there she is. Lovely.
Oh, that even outstars the sweater.
She enjoyed the Welsh one.
Must be barking.
No. I think there were three serious drink gins and three fun pretenders. A novelty act with the oak aged, the chocolate orange, and the colour changer. But yeah, but my favourite was the Caroon.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
I like the Caroon as well.
So I've been keeping the scores, and obviously the Welsh gin has
We
come
haven't
out
heard
on top.
yours yet, though.
But the Caroon has come out pretty
No,
well.
you can't.
Good second.
You have to give your scores before you give.
Oh, my
Oh
scores.
yes, your
Yeah.
score.
Well, the Caroon was my favourite. I'd not tried the Botanist until I decided to sponsor that one for us. I found it very complicated. I found it like a Lefroy. Very, very complicated. Lots and lots of stuff in there. And I need to get another bottle to explore it.
That's a good idea.
And you need to work hard, as Linda was saying before, to get the precise split with the tonic, and that could take me a while. In fact, I may need 2 or 3 bottles.
Boxing Day.
But I think I'll get there. The Macca, I knew I was getting something exciting for the end, something different. Because I had this, we must try this ginger ale, because gin and ginger ale just sounded so
wrong.
You just cannot do that. You just can't do it. But it was that ginny whiskey of it, and it worked for me. And as I said earlier on, get a bottle of that as well. Not, I won't be getting all these bottles at the same time. I'll get them all delivered at the same time, and then we'll be fine. So
Let's have one a night.
yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you, Linda.
Oh, try that. That's a good idea.
But I would say I think everybody's view is very much the same, that the serious gins, the 3 serious gins, were a nice gin on the night, and we could have them again. And the other gins were meant as a bit of fun, but probably out of the Macca we found something that we may or may not visit again. And that's good. I've enjoyed it. I always do. I've nothing left. When we did the whiskey night, I was very careful in keeping half a bottle. But then I came through to my assistant and we did another little tasting separately, of which I got half a bottle. Tonight, my assistant had scoffed everything.
I like gin.
No sleep for me tonight.
Oh dear.
We make up for it tomorrow, right?
Yes. Indeed.
I made up for it, Rod, by only giving you half bottles each.
Right. It was just enough. And
You knew the Caroon was going to be the winner, Stuart.
I'll come round and drop a wee drop in your milk bottles in the morning on the doorstep.
Things have got to order milk now.
Oh.
By the way, well done, Rod. That was really good.
Excellent.
Yes,
Right. Well, we need to talk for 3 minutes because it is only 2 minutes. It's 21:58. When I looked up at the time and Hugh had done the night, it was 21:59. And that was it.
Well, I have to sum up for 1 minute and 50.
Well, I've gone back onto the Welsh stuff, Rod.
Excellent.
Just to use up the tonic.
What I would say is the whiskey is a lot. Well, I didn't dislike the chocolate orange, but the whiskey I find is quite palatable, and it knocks the socks off a few of your Scottish malts, but not all of them. No.
What whiskey? We will do.
No, if we had the spirit that went into the Welsh gin. But I've got the male voice choir here. But you all have to join in.
I think it's 59 minutes now.
Time to go home.
It was nice seeing you. I enjoyed the night. Yeah.
Well done, Rod.
Good night. Bit of fun.
Bit of fun.
Bye.
Well done. Well done, Rod. Well put together.
Yeah.
We'll see you later. Have a good Christmas. Oh,
Have a good Christmas, all, yes.
Yeah, have a lovely Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, have a nice day.
Christmas.
Bye.
and there goes the button.